My director, Loc, and I signed up for the workshop because we had just began our training team. It was called the training team at the time. We've evolved since then. But we were looking for a way to reach more of our customer base. We knew that there was better solutions out there. We just really didn't know how to make our solution like, light years ahead, I guess. We're always striving for the best. We wanted to hear from others. So we found the workshop through the ATD website. It seemed like it was for us, and we signed up. So our website, Bluescape University, at the time was only videos. And going to the workshop, we realized, hey, we should be considering job aids. We should be considering creating PDF versions of these videos, maybe more dynamic coursework. So that was really eye-opening for us to say, hey, we have all of this great content, but it's really monotone in the big scheme of things. We're only reaching a certain subset of our customer base. So that was probably the biggest takeaway, or the biggest eye-opening piece for me personally. One of the things we created was building personas of our customer base. And we had this, poster that we created where we talked about how we were going to be developing different types of learning materials and who our end customers were. And I think at the time we called them a consumer of content, a producer, and a presenter. And we outlined what our future was for the next 6 months. And that was our take home. I actually kept that. And it was something that I gave to Loc at our team dinner just in December. So he had no idea I kept it for as long, and it was kind of a marking of, hey, this is where we started, and look at where we are today. Because we were a team of 2, and at that point we were a team of 5 already within a year. When Bluescape University started, we really were kind of taglined the training team. We were going to hold all of, we were going to be in charge of all customer training, whether that was on-site, virtual, or on-demand on our Bluescape University site. After attending the workshop, we kind of evolved what we wanted to do. We realized we needed an instructional designer to start developing better content as well as a better site to reach our customer base. So we brought on an instructional designer who was teammate number 3 at that point. And then we saw that we had great coursework that involved GIFs and a lot of text, but our video footage was lacking. So we went out and we hired a video specialist who was team member number 4. From there, we realized that we could start creating more content and reach our customers better and provide more virtual and on-site trainings if we brought on another. At the time, I was a training specialist and brought on a training coordinator to kind of help fill up the backlog of work. And then since then, we've grown really rapidly. One of the reasons is we are no longer a single site. We're no longer just Bluescape University. We have personal sites for a couple of our bigger customers. And then we've also brought on the knowledge base, which also has a couple personalized sites for our bigger customers. So we went from having 1 site to now 6 in the matter of about a year and a half. And with that, we've brought on technical writers, customer education program managers, an additional video specialist, and an additional training coordinator. So we've been kind of steadily growing. We had a really rapid growth occur when shelter in place actually occurred, just because the needs of our customers kind of pivoted because the traditional on-site training was no longer available, nor was the traditional virtual training because it was impossible to get all of our customers in one location. So that also increased the need for more online content, different types of content to reach our customer base that maybe we would have had a interaction like via Zoom or WebEx or just being on site. Those were kind of out the door. It kind of at its foundation, it's how we've been building the team, really is taking LCD into consideration constantly, because if we're talking about the evolution of our site itself, it went from only videos to only text and GIFs to a hybrid of text, GIFs, now videos. Then we realized not everyone wants to hear the same tone that we present on our Bluescape University. And so, with the knowledge base, it's more of that traditional support site-esque documentation, real technical kind of writing. And so with all of these different pieces, we've kind of, as we've grown the team, we've understood that we need to have more dynamic personnel involved. And also one of the things that we do when we do have training engagements is we always want to provide customers with some sort of leave behind follow-up task, because I think when we first started with us as just a training team, we'd go on site to any number of our customers, we provide a training, provide a service, and then we leave. And then, that was kind of the end of the story. And with LCD, we know that that's not how you can approach training. That's not how people learn. So it was, as we're developing all this new kind of content that's hosted on these different sites, it's gearing up our trainings that either are performed by us or customer success managers, where that's not the end of the story for them. And we're setting the tone that for the customer, that it's not the end of the story from the get-go, right? I think I used to go to trainings and I had a mindset where it's like, hey, we're gonna show you a bunch of stuff about Bluescape, you're gonna learn a lot, and then you'll be off to the races. And now the story is, hey, you'll be able to learn a lot today. We're gonna have to support you with a bunch of different resources where you can read about everything you've learned about online. We provide kind of job aids as well. So it's kind of evolved what we actually do for our customers when there's these learning or training engagements. Is when I think about our approach that we've always had for our team, is we've always looked at it iteratively. I think if you're always trying to solve an entire problem or entire solution all at once, it can be really daunting, and you end up doing what I've heard is paralysis through analysis, right? The problem's too big, how do you break it apart? So I think if you are trying to adopt this model, maybe it's, you have like us, you have a huge database of videos, and you decide, I need to create some kind of printout format, something a little bit more traditional, and you create that. And then after you have your videos and the traditional PDFs, maybe you develop some sort of other content. Maybe it's a job aid, makes sense. Maybe it's only online. Maybe it's audio only. I think it's something where you shouldn't be looking at just completely adopting the model all at once, because that's not what we did. It's really breaking it apart and taking it piece by piece, because if you do that, 6 months down the road, a year down the road, you'll look back and you'll have this huge kind of all-inclusive learning content than you did when you started. And I think if everyone was adopting this model, I think people would approach learning inherently differently, right? Like, I personally have attended training sessions, workshops, where if it's very clear that I'm only going to be seeing a PowerPoint for hours, and I check out, because that's not how I learn. And I think if everyone's adopting the LCD model, then people will go into these sessions with a different mindset, because they'll know at some point something's going to be presented to them, which is the way they learn, which is the way they want to consume information. So I think it helps, and I think the individual benefits, and I think at the end of the day, everyone benefits, because the end goal of teaching someone anything is for them to learn it. It's not to hear your own voice for 2 hours in front of a group of 50 people and have them learn nothing. So I think it benefits everyone, because the individual gets to learn, the person educating actually has people learn, and everyone's better for it. I definitely would suggest the LCD model. I think it is, if you're going to start something or change something, it is the way you should be changing or starting a program. And I can tell you from personal experience, we started a program and we shifted it to the LCD model, and we've been seeing continued success. Hearing from it from our customers, as well as hearing it internally, where people are saying, the customers, the end users are really resonating with your content. And it's not always one type of content. It's not just our video content. It's not just our coursework. It's not just our printouts. And so I think for me, when I think about suggesting it, it's really just the way I would build a program myself. So if that's the way I would build a program from the ground up, like, why wouldn't I suggest it? I would say we definitely recoup the cost for the workshop itself. I honestly don't know where we would be today without it. We had 2 people go, just turned out to be both members of our department, but having both of us go and kind of discuss during the sessions was really helpful for us, because we actually were able to develop a plan that we can put into action afterwards. So we kind of had a unique situation there. But at the end of the day too, I would say learning and development, customer education, training, this frontier that's kind of evolving rapidly right now. And I don't think a lot of organizations would have an expert sitting in-house that could deliver the same kind of training or impact people like myself in the same way. It just doesn't exist internally right now since everything is evolving so quickly. Final thoughts is it's okay to do something incorrectly. We always like to think of fail forward. I think if you're adopting a new model, there can be frustrations because you feel like you're not doing things maybe up to par. You might have hesitations, but at the end of the day, it's going into that unknown, going into that unfamiliar is how you're actually going to create something great. So I would say don't hesitate, just move forward. Try to learn on the go and try something new and try something that is going to resonate more with your customers or your pupils if it's internal training.